was in the kitchen when I heard my mom say to my dad, "Don't worry about him. He's just the one who pays the bills. His brother deserves the inheritance." 2 weeks later, I found out they left everything to my brother in their will. I didn't say a word, just stopped covering their mortgage, groceries, and repairs. A month later, my mom texted me, "The mortgage is due." No explanation. I just replied, "Family dynamics are complicated beasts." I'm the older of 2 sons. My brother Jack is 5 years younger. The surprise child, the golden boy, the one who could do no wrong. I was the responsible one, the steady one, the one who stayed local while Jack chased dreams across the country. After college, I built a successful consulting business specializing in logistics. Nothing glamorous, but profitable enough that when my parents started struggling financially 7 years ago, I stepped in without hesitation. Dad's early retirement due to health issues and their underwater mortgage from the 2008 crisis had left them vulnerable. I started small, covering property taxes when they fell behind, handling home repairs, buying groceries during my weekly visits. Eventually, I took over their mortgage payments entirely. For 7 years, I paid $2,240 monthly for a house I didn't live in, plus roughly $1,500 in other expenses. Nearly $300,000 over the years, given freely because that's what family does. Jack, meanwhile, bounced between startups in California, always on the verge of his big break, sending birthday cards and flying home for Christmas with expensive gifts he could barely afford. He contributed exactly nothing to our parents' financial stability, but they proudly displayed his gifts and talked endlessly about his exciting life. I never complained, never kept score, never expected gratitude. But I did expect basic respect. 3 weeks ago, I stopped by unannounced with groceries, let myself in with the key they'd given me years ago, called out a greeting, and started unpacking food in the kitchen. Through the pass-through window to the living room, I could see my parents huddled over papers at the coffee table. They hadn't heard me come in. "Are you sure about this, Margaret?" my dad asked, his voice concerned. "Shouldn't we at least split it?" "Don't worry about him," my mother replied dismissively. "He's just the one who pays the bills. His brother deserves the inheritance. David's already set with his business, and Jack needs a safety net." My father sighed. "Seems wrong after everything David's done. He can afford it. Besides, Jack's struggling right now with the new app launch. The house would make all the difference." I stood frozen in the kitchen, a carton of eggs suspended midair. The casual cruelty of my mother's words, "just the one who pays the bills," hit like a physical blow. I quietly set down the groceries, slipped out the side door, and drove home in silence. I didn't confront them, didn't call Jack to complain, just went home and pulled up my financial records, calculating exactly how much I'd given them over the years. Then I made some calls. 2 weeks later, my Uncle Harold, Dad's brother, mentioned during our monthly lunch that my parents had updated their will, leaving everything to Jack. "Thought you should know," he said uncomfortably. "Doesn't seem right considering." I nodded, thanked him for telling me, and changed the subject. Harold looked relieved. He'd expected drama, but that's never been my style. That afternoon, I made 3 decisions. 1. I stopped the automatic mortgage payment scheduled for the following week. 2. I canceled the standing grocery delivery I'd arranged for them. 3. I called the handyman who was supposed to fix their deck and told him I wouldn't be covering the bill as previously discussed. Then I waited. The mortgage due date came and went. My phone remained silent for 3 more weeks. Then, exactly 1 month after overhearing that conversation, I received a text from my mother. "The mortgage is due. There was some mix-up with the bank. Can you look into it?" No explanation, no acknowledgement of what they'd done. Just the expectation that I would continue funding their lifestyle while they planned to leave everything to my brother. I replied, "No mix-up. I stopped payment. You should ask Jack to cover it, since he's the one who deserves the inheritance." The bomb detonated. My phone exploded with calls and texts, first from my mother, then my father, finally Jack. I didn't answer or respond. Instead, I forwarded each message to a separate folder, building a digital record of their reaction. My mother's messages evolved from confusion to indignation to tearful pleas. My father's were more measured, acknowledging they'd hurt me but insisting I was taking things out of context. Jack's were the most revealing, Angry accusations that I was punishing the whole family because of my entitled attitude. On day 3 of the communication barrage, my parents showed up at my house. I wasn't surprised, I was expecting them. I invited them in calmly, offered coffee, and listened as they attempted damage control. "We never meant to hurt you," my mother insisted. "The will is just a piece of paper. We know you don't need the money, and Jack needs it more," I finished for her. "Yes, I heard. You were eavesdropping," she accused, color rising in her cheeks. "I was delivering groceries that I paid for to the house that I pay for." My father looked pained. "Son, we appreciate everything you've done." "Do you?" I interrupted. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been taking advantage of my sense of duty while planning to cut me out completely." "It's not like that," he protested weakly. I placed a folder on the coffee table between us. "This is a complete accounting of everything I've paid toward your expenses over the past 7 years. $296,407 to be exact. I've never asked for recognition, gratitude, or repayment. I did it because I thought that's what family does for each other." My mother stared at the number, mouth slightly open. "I don't care about the inheritance," I continued. "What I care about is the breathtaking disrespect of treating me like an ATM while planning to exclude me. If Jack deserves everything, then let him start paying for everything." "We can't possibly repay all this," my father said, gesturing at the folder. "I'm not asking you to. I'm simply stepping back. Your financial decisions are yours again. The house, the bills, all of it. I'm done." They left shell-shocked. That evening, Jack called, more conciliatory than his texts had been. He claimed he'd known nothing about their financial arrangement, had no idea I'd been supporting them for years. Maybe that was true. Didn't change anything. "If you're their financial future, you should be their financial present," I told him. "I'm not asking you to repay what I've already given. I'm just done being the backstage crew while you get the spotlight." That was 2 months ago. They managed to make the mortgage payment that month, probably by depleting their savings. Last week, my father called to tell me they've decided to sell the house and downsize to something more manageable. He sounded tired but resolved. We talked for nearly an hour, the most honest conversation we've had in years. My mother hasn't spoken to me directly since our confrontation, communicating only through my father. Jack flew home once to help them figure things out, then returned to California with vague promises of support. Yesterday, my Uncle Harold called to tell me my parents have updated their will again. This time, they've split everything equally between Jack and me. "Too little, too late," Harold commented. "But at least they're trying." I don't care about the will anymore. The inheritance was never the point. What matters is that for the first time in my adult life, I'm free of the obligation I placed on myself. I've redirected the money I used to spend on them toward my own future, investments, home improvements, and an actual vacation. Some call my reaction cold. Others call it justified. I call it necessary boundaries, established far too late. The hardest lesson wasn't that my parents favored my brother. I've known that since childhood. The hardest lesson was accepting that my generosity was enabling their disrespect. Family dynamics are complicated beasts. Some people get Norman Rockwell paintings. I got a masterclass in conditional love. But the most valuable lesson came last. Conditional love should be met with conditional support. Anything else is just self-destruction disguised as duty. Update, 3 months later. Since many asked for an update, here's what's happened in the past few months. My parents did sell their house, downsizing to a small condo that's much more manageable for them financially. The process was apparently stressful. My father called several times asking for advice, which I gave freely. Emotional support costs nothing. It's the financial ATM role I've stepped away from. The most surprising development came from Jack. After the initial drama, he seemed to undergo some genuine reflection. During a rare phone call, he admitted he'd been oblivious to our parents' financial situation and my role in maintaining it. "I always thought they were comfortable," he said. "They never mentioned money problems to me. When I offered help years ago, Mom always said they were fine." I believe him, actually. Our parents have always maintained appearances at all costs, protecting Jack while leaning on me. Different roles assigned from childhood, performed faithfully into adulthood. Jack has started sending them monthly support. Not nearly what I was providing, but significant for his budget. It's not about matching what you did, he told me. It's about doing what I can now that I know. My mother finally called me directly last month. The conversation was awkward, stilted, with unspoken resentments on both sides. No tearful reconciliation, no dramatic apologies, just a careful navigation of our new reality. We should have been more transparent about our finances, she conceded. The closest thing to an apology I expect to receive. Yes, you should have, I replied, and I should have established boundaries years ago. My father and I have reached a kind of peace. We have lunch every other week, carefully avoiding financial discussions. He's working part-time again at a local hardware store. To keep busy, he says, though we both know it's also for the income. As for me, I've redirected my energy toward my own life, started dating again after years of putting it off, expanded my business, remembered that taking care of myself isn't selfish, it's necessary. The inheritance question feels irrelevant now. Whatever they leave behind will be modest at best and equally divided. But the real inheritance, the patterns of behavior, the expectations, the roles we play in each other's lives, that's what I've finally rejected. Some family relationships can't be fixed, only renegotiated. We're in that process now, feeling our way toward something that might eventually be healthier, if never quite whole. Edit to clarify a common question. No, I never gave them money directly. I paid their mortgage and bills directly to the institutions involved, arranged grocery deliveries, and hired repair services. This was intentional, as I wanted to ensure the money went to necessities. This approach made it very easy to stop the support. I simply canceled the automatic payments and services.